Welcome back, fellow travelers, to another exciting deep dive into the world of Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen. In today's video, we're going to explore an essential topic for adventurers at every level. A complete, in-depth guide to the best farming locations based on your level and group composition. Whether you're running solo with a small team or part of a larger group, I'll break down the ideal spots for monster density and give you a solid sense of where you can go to maximize your farming efficiency. With so many monsters and regions to cover, I won't be able to hit everything. But if there's something you feel I missed, or if you're hunting for more info, drop your questions in the comments, and I'll get back to you. Before we jump into the main content, I've got my weekly tip for all of you. Did you know that you can revive knocked down players simply by right-clicking on them? That's right. By administering first aid, you'll help them get back on their feet with a little bit of health. And the best part, anyone can do this, even if they're not in your party. So, the next time you see a fellow adventurer crawling away from a battle, be the hero and lend a hand. And if you already knew this trick, hit that like button to show your support. Let's kick things off by focusing on solo play and farming with smaller groups. If you're flying solo or rolling with just one other adventurer, this section is for you. But, if you happen to be in a group of 3 or 4, feel free to jump ahead to the timestamp on the screen where we dive into medium group density farming. And for those of you rolling with nearly a full party, you can skip ahead as well to the section that covers those larger scale encounters. Still here? Then that means you're likely adventuring with a smaller crew, and you're on the hunt for the best spots for both experience and loot. Keep in mind, this guide focuses on farming locations in Thronefast and AV. If you find yourself deep in Wild's End, this guide won't be relevant to your adventures. Now let's talk about levels. They play a huge role in determining where you can farm safely and efficiently. Your level makes all the difference in how you approach farming. If you're anywhere between level 1 and 5, your ideal starting point is just outside Thronefast, right before you cross the bridge out of town. This area is perfect because monster density is high, and you'll find a solid variety of reagents and materials to gather. Whether you're solo or in a group, this spot has you covered. The best experience is found by taking down monsters that con white or yellow to you. At such low levels, these creatures hit hard, so keep your guard up. But the good news is, you don't have to stress about a death penalty since you won't start losing experience until you hit level 5. One monster to be cautious of is the Shambling Skeleton. These guys cast a nasty spell called Cackle that can deal significant damage, so watch your step. Once you've reached around level 5, you're free to cross the bridge and venture out into the open world. But before we dive deeper into those wild, untamed lands, I want to take a moment to address a special note for those spawning in the cave outside of town. This applies to Necros, Orcs, Darkmire, and possibly more. My advice? Stick around in that cave until you hit level 5. Why? Because lurking within that area are dangerous groups of skeletons that can make a quick meal out of an unprepared adventurer. I will talk more about them later in the video. If you're trying to wander off too soon, well, chances are you'll be met with a swift death. So, exercise caution. Here's a handy tip. If you decide to leave the cave and get attacked, make a beeline for the safety of town. The guards there will rush to your aid, and you can count on them to kill the monsters chasing you. It's your only surefire way to escape with your life. Now back to the open world. There are plenty of monsters roaming about, but be aware that some areas may already be occupied by other groups. My recommendation is to venture a little further out and target enemies that con white to you. These will still give you solid XP, but won't be too difficult to handle. I say won't be too difficult, with a grain of salt though, because if you miss your attacks, or they block and parry constantly, you might still find yourself on the wrong end of a death screen. Always assess your situation accordingly. If you've got a partner with you, your XP gains will be even better. Taking on groups of humans one at a time can result in quick progress, and if you manage to handle them efficiently, you'll level up in no time. These humans range from level 3 to 8, and every so often you might come across a special human called the Recruiter. This level 6 monster is a group mob, so be prepared for a bit more of a challenge when you encounter him. Once you're around level 8, it's time to set your sights on the goblins just beyond the humans. But a word of caution, these goblins can be pretty tough for a duo, so proceed with care. Some of them cast spells that can decimate your group if you're not careful. Let's break them down. First up, the Dread Goblin. He is level 7, and this one has a tricky ability called Pressure Plate Armor. When activated, it buffs the Dreg, and any incoming damage is reflected back at you, almost like thorns. Keep that kick ready to interrupt it whenever you can. Next, the Char Goblin. He is about level 8, and these are your classic spellcasters, and they can hurt you more than any of the others. Their strength lies in their damage over time, so keep kicking them to mitigate the damage and prevent them from overwhelming you. Finally, the Rock Eater Goblin, who is level 10 and uses a dangerous rogue ability called Waylay. This hit lands hard, so don't let it through, or it could wipe your entire group. If you find yourself accidentally pulling too many, don't panic. Simply run back to the cliff, jump into the water below, and create enough distance so they can't follow you. This will give you time to reset and catch your breath. Keep at it, and you should be able to farm these goblins safely until you hit level 10. Once you hit around level 10, it's time to take on a new challenge. Bigger packs of hobgoblins just outside of Thronefast. These guys are located just beyond the spot where you farmed to reach level 5, but this time you'll need to scale a massive cliff to reach them. The climb might take a moment, but it's well worth the effort. As you ascend, you'll encounter a few goblins to clear out along the way, giving you a nice warm-up before you hit the top. When you reach the summit, you'll have a prime position to run in circles, mowing down goblins as you go, building that XP. These goblins are similar to the ones you fought before, using the same abilities, but they're a little tougher, so be ready for stronger monsters. In this area, you'll also encounter a particularly tough hobgoblin known as the Muck Digger. Standing at level 10, these guys pack quite the punch, so be ready for a challenge when you come across them. All the strategies you've learned so far will still apply. Just expect more of a challenge. With everything we've covered, this guide should help you go from level 1 all the way past level 10, whether you're going it alone or with a small group of adventurers by your side. If you've made it this far in the video, or if you've skipped ahead, now it's time to dive into farming strategies for medium-sized groups, those with around 3 to 4 players. With your team size, you'll be able to tackle higher-level content much faster, making your progression smoother. If you're just starting out, your group should focus on farming the intro zone just outside of town. This should go by quickly, as the monsters here won't take much to defeat. Once you've gained a few levels, you can head out into the wilderness and start clearing whatever you come across. For the best XP, aim for monsters that con dark blue to yellow to you. These will provide solid experience while still being manageable for your group. When you hit around level 7, you're ready to tackle goblins, just like the smaller parties. But if your team is well balanced, you can jump straight into group skeletons for even better rewards. The entrance to the goblin caves should also be a safe spot to farm, but take your time with these guys. It is recommended that you are between level 7 and 10 to start. So if your team gets too confident, you risk wiping multiple times and losing all your hard-earned progress. Also around that level, you'll unlock the group skeletons near the cave where starting characters spawn. If those skeletons aren't already busy, they're an excellent option for farming. 2 types of skeletons spawn in this area, the Bonecaster and the Bone Knight. Both pack a serious punch, and every now and then, they'll bring an extra friend along for the fight, making things even more intense. The key to a successful farming session with a group of 3 to 4 players is targeting group enemies. These will yield the best XP. Non-group monsters can feel a little slow unless they're yellow or orange to your level. Those are always worth taking down. Once you hit around level 10, it's time to step up to group spiders. But don't be fooled. These spiders are more dangerous than they appear. Always single pull unless you've got a way to put 1 or 2 of them to sleep. The Skitterfangs have 2 distinct sides that lead into one another, creating a web of tunnels filled with danger. You'll run into a variety of dangerous spiders in this area, including Deathweavers, Hunters, Night Watchers, Recluses, small Skitterfangs, and webless Skitterfangs. These are all group mobs, and they range from level 9 to 11. Trust me, I've wiped countless times to these guys. Don't make the same mistake and lose a ton of hard-earned XP to them. Stay cautious. These spiders should help you rack up levels pretty quickly, and by the time your entire party hits level 13, you're ready to head over to the Spirit Manor. At the Manor, you'll find plenty of monsters that will con yellow to your party, providing solid experience all the way up to level 15 to 18. All of these monsters are best tackled when you're between levels 13 and 17. Keep in mind, every monster in this area is a group mob, so this is definitely not the place for solo play. Bring your team if you want to survive and thrive here. However, be on the lookout for the 3 named monsters roaming the manor. They're not to be taken lightly. First, there's the Cursed Apparition. He is level 16 and spawns near the front of the manor. Then Bitter Bones, level 16 as well, a skeletal monster found at the back, surrounded by other skeletons. Lastly, the War Scout Grakgor, who is level 18, an ogre found on the upper level to the left of the manor. He's arguably the toughest of the 3, so make sure your team is at the right level, preferably when he cons white or even dark blue to your party. These named monsters can wipe a party if you're not careful, so always approach with caution. With these tips, your medium-sized group will be farming efficiently and leveling up faster than ever. If you've made it this far in the video, you're probably eager to learn how to farm in a large group. Think 5 players or more. Early on, most groups tend to farm around the same area because it's so ideal for XP and it's hard to resist. But once you're past those early levels, the world opens up, and you can farm almost anywhere with group monsters that are suitable for your team. I've already mentioned some great group monster locations earlier in the video, but if you're looking for something beyond the usual spots in Thronefast, you can venture into AV for better group farming opportunities, or even some higher-level solo monsters. When you first enter AV, follow the road until you reach the small town of Demeth. This place could become your new home base, as there's a bindstone located in the back of the town. From there, head right, and you'll find an area teeming with group humans. These enemies respawn quickly, and you might even get lucky with a low-level named human occasionally spawning in the camp. This particular NPC, known as the Pelt Master, carries a gathering tool with high skill value. Definitely worth keeping an eye out for. Most of the humans you'll encounter here range from level 7 to 9, and they have a nasty habit of calling in reinforcements. Always be on your toes when pulling, because there could be a sneaky one lurking just around the corner, ready to make your life a whole lot harder. If you're ready to move on from humans, and you're around level 13 to 15, it's time to tackle the orcs. From the Bindstone, they're located to your left, though it's a bit of a walk to get there. Along the way, you can also hunt bears and spiderlings, which will give you solid XP. The orcs are a well-known farming hotspot, so you might have to compete for a spot, but with so many of them around, you shouldn't have too much trouble. Personally, I can't even count how many orcs I've taken down with my ranger. It's a farming goldmine. If you're after the non-group orcs, keep an eye out for brutes, runecasters, scouts, shamans, and skirmishers. These tough foes range from level 15 to 18, so they're definitely worth the effort and will provide a solid challenge. For those seeking a tougher challenge with group orcs, watch out for the Ambusher, Bone Charmer, Hexmaster, Poisoner, Skullsplitter, and Soothsayer. These formidable foes range from level 16 to 19, so prepare for some serious combat. And with all of that information, I hope this guide has helped shine a light on some great farming spots and given you a better understanding of how different monsters' abilities work. This world is massive, brimming with countless areas waiting to be explored, each offering its own unique adventures. But remember, the key is to have fun while you're playing. Pantheon is all about crafting your own experience, whether that means diving into crafting to make some gold, discovering hidden areas that few have explored, or simply hanging out in town and making new friends. The possibilities are endless, and you truly can't go wrong with any of them. If there's anything else you'd like me to dive deeper into or cover in a future video, don't hesitate to let me know in the comments. I'm always open to ideas. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and safe travels, adventurer.